Dr. Adam Hamawi.
Yes.
Thank you for standing with us.
Yeah. Thank you for participating in this process. It's there's always issues on live production. It happens, but we went to the Delaney facility. You've been there already.
I've been there a few times. Yeah.
And how has the environment changed a little bit in your experience? Like, are there more people? Are there less people? Is there more? I feel like there's a lot of attention being paid to the story now, more so than before. As I guess the hunger strike worsens. Are there more people coming out now?
So there's more people, but I'm also seeing more agitators.
Yeah.
Today, it wasn't like, last week there was really just protesters there standing in solidarity with the detainees. But here, there was just a lot more people going and confronting them and causing problems and making the situation worse.
Yeah. It's unfortunate, but I think when people don't understand the stakes, in my experience at least, when people don't understand the stakes of what is unfolding, or when they're so cynical that they don't even care about the inhumanity that's like taking shape 500 meters away from them, they just see this as a leg up, an opportunity to make a mark.
Right, and we saw that when we got there. I mean, I think we actually helped the protesters because we drew away this crowd of agitators away from them.
Yeah.
And they got to protest in peace for a while, while they focused their attention on us.
It happens. But ultimately, what we were there to do is like showcase we'll try to get a better understanding of what's exactly going on. So as someone running for Congress, what is your suggestion in terms of curbing back some of this stuff, whether it be ICE violence in general towards protesters exercising their First Amendment rights, or even accountability to ICE?
So, I mean, I've been running from the beginning that we need to abolish ICE, and this is a perfect example why. To have these for-profit detention centers that really are violating people's human rights, violating civil rights, really violating our Constitution by holding them in there without any, accused crime for prolonged periods, cruel and unusual punishment inside with food that has spoiled and worms coming out of it. They don't have proper medical attention. So, we all heard about a woman that just had a miscarriage in there this week.
Yeah.
And there's diabetics. I heard of a paraplegic that was inside. They took away his wheelchair, took away his crutches. They said the crutches were weapons that could be used. And so he's in there, can't move, and basically in solitary confinement because they can't keep him in another facility.
What is that, like the type of government overreach that we're seeing here, and the systematized version of violence? Does that remind you at all of some of the experiences that you had working in conflict zones, and the way that an occupying force would operate against what they declare as an enemy force?
Well, this is again an increasing, presence of fascism in this country, right? You call a state of an emergency, and that state of emergency then gives you an excuse to do whatever you want. And we've seen this play out in so many dictatorships, and this is exactly what Trump is doing. He called this immigration emergency, which it wasn't an emergency. We don't have these criminals roaming the streets like he claims there are.
Yeah.
These are just our neighbors.
Well, there are criminals.
There are criminals.
They're in DC.
Yeah.
But yeah, go on. Sorry.
Yeah. So that state of emergency gives you an excuse, not a good one, but an excuse to do whatever you want. And this is what we're seeing right now. And this is a federal facility. I mean, the fact that we can't get federal oversight in there is again, why is that the fact? We have members of Congress that have tried to get in, that they aren't allowed to go in. The conditions we're told are horrible, and they say, if they disagree, then why aren't you letting anyone inside to take a look? I mean, this is, again, the same thing that these dictatorships have been doing, and for centuries all over the world. We see this, throughout the Middle East. We see this going on in Israel, and we are now taking that and putting it here in our country. And it's existed at a low level before, under the waves, but now it's in broad daylight, and we are allowing it to happen.
Yeah, it's Well, this is a question I asked you already, but do you support the organized movements that people are engaging in, like the organized action that people are engaging in, as far as like identifying when ICE Watch, identifying when ICE agents are in their neighborhoods, and even demonstrations such as this one?
I do. I mean, if it's a peaceful protest, peaceful demonstration, and if communities are organizing to help their neighbors, um, this is what happened in Nazi Germany, right? Like in Nazi Germany, people were organizing to help the Jewish community to be able to hide,
Yeah.
right, and to protect them. And unfortunately, we are doing it now in this country to help our undocumented brothers and sisters. And it's not just undocumented. There are attacking documented immigrants. They're attacking U.S. citizens as well. So when we allow one group of people to be attacked, it's just a matter of time before it expands to everyone.
Yeah, absolutely. As far as what the actions of the state, like let's say you have a magic wand, like what would you do? Your governor, Mickey Sherrill, like what are some of the actions that she could be taking in this situation? And how would you rate her response so far? I know this is a little,
Yeah, I mean,
it's a tough question.
It's a tough question,
blue
but I
state.
think it's so important to be on the ground. It's so easy to get information that is limited when you're just listening to one source. And from my experience, traveling all over the world, going to war zones, going to disaster zones, the story is always different when you are actually there. The media can only give you so much information, and whatever report you have from whoever it is, it's always coming from one point of view. So, as a leader, I think you should be on the ground. You should try to get access. Again, this is a federal facility, so she's limited to that. But this is when we should be able to have our senators and representatives to be able to get access in there as well. And they need to work together.
Yeah, and I think senators and congresspersons could like potentially demand access with the governor as well, which is what I think they've tried to do that. But instead of doing that, it seems like the governor has instead decided to cooperate with ICE in some capacity. And I know it's a situation that is chaotic, and you don't want more dangerous things to take place. You don't want people fighting one another. But my suggestion always is to make sure that the local law enforcement is there to actually protect the constituents, rather than side with the federal government and side with the federal agencies.
Well, I think they should be a buffer. I mean, it's one thing when you go in there and you see them facing one direction against the crowd.
Yeah.
Versus you're standing in both directions and separate. They were facing just a crowd. So that gives an impression right there, rather than going in as a peace force or a buffer zone to try to de-escalate. And then you go in there and you're working against, against both sides or with both sides to tell everyone to stand down. And it's just, the demeanor, the stance, that impression makes a huge difference.
Yeah. What are some of the things that you want to do in terms of accountability to ICE?
So I think the first thing we need to do is start holding hearings, exactly what is happening. When we take control over Congress, we're going to hold hearings of ICE. We want to hold hearings with the administration. Congress formed ICE. They did this back in 2003, and they have the ability to disband ICE as well. So, but not just hold hearings, but then you have accountability. So we have crimes that are being committed in front of our eyes every day, and unfortunately, they're not getting prosecuted the way they should, and people are let go for crimes that are being committed. So we need a Department of Justice that actually administers real justice. And that might take a while for another administration to get passed, but at least we could start the process.
I feel like without that kind of accountability, without that kind of justice, people start losing sight of participating in organized democracy and recognizing that the systems are actually the system is actually intact and will still serve the interests of the population. When people lose confidence in that, I feel like chaos unfolds. And that's a much more devastating predicament that I don't think many people are thinking about at all. And certainly not this government. Or maybe this administration is actually banking on that happening so they can engage in even more rigid enforcement and more repression and state violence.
Right. It's almost like you're instigating it, you know.
Yeah.
And then when people are upset and they rise up and that chaos happens, then it gives you more excuse to push down.
Yeah. I will say, however, my experience in Minneapolis actually gave me a lot of confidence that this administration is still a paper tiger at the end of the day. I mean, they still need a popular mandate, and they know that they don't have it, because if they did, if they truly had a popular mandate, if they actually were, if their actions were genuinely popular, and the masses were backing them, then they wouldn't feel the need to subvert the democratic process as aggressively as they're entertaining. One of the things that they're trying to do is potentially even deploy ICE agents and at polling stations.
That's what I heard as well.
In the midterms, is this? What do you think about that?
Well, again, they are afraid of real democracy, because with real democracy they lose.
Yeah.
So deploying ICE agents, you know, the gerrymandering that they've been doing all over the country to change the vote count, and then, you know, repealing like laws or turning over rulings that have been around for decades, really all just before the midterms to try to hold back the tide that they see is coming up against them. And if we don't all come out together, then we're not going to have a democracy. Because the only way that we fight this is to come out en masse, that everyone actually gets out to the polls, because they can't stop people when they come in waves. But when you have small groups coming in and you have ICE agents, it's a form of intimidation.
Yeah. Well, in the interim, I think coming out in waves and demonstrating is also very important as well, because I feel like there's no accountability whatsoever, or there's not even a reflection on whether certain actions the government's taking are popular or not, in the absence of any sort of counter demonstration, in the absence of any sort of demonstration at all. So it is still very important to go out there and show up and protest against these sorts of actions.
It's crazy that in a democracy where people are, you know, when you're listening to the voice of the people, you have a certain group actually suppressing that voice. And it's clear that, you know, the freedoms that they say that they want to defend, the freedoms that really are supposed to be what makes up this country and that they say that people hate us for, are exactly what they're fighting against. They're fighting against these freedoms.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much for taking the time out, and thank you so much for coming down here as well, and participating in this alongside us. It was, you know, it was a little bit chaotic, but I feel like we got to see it, and
we got to see it, and we got other people to see it as well. I think that's important, because it's not getting the coverage that it needs.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Adam. What can people do? I mean, we don't have much time left.
Please get out to vote. And then Monday's off, like the polls are closed, and then Tuesday is primary day. Please go out to vote. You can make a difference. Tell your friends, tell your neighbors. If you're in town or around the area, anywhere close by, please come out and canvass. And if you're not around the area, you could also help us by phone banking. And if you phone bank, just go to my website, hamui4nj.com, and then you could find and just sign up there. We'll tell you our canvassing, we'll tell you our phone banking, and we'll be calling people all till Tuesday night to get them out to vote, so that we could get someone like me into Congress, so that we could abolish ICE and we could get this country back on track.
Last question. Who do you have on Game 7? Spurs versus OKC Thunder?
I'll go with the Spurs.
Okay. All right. That's the right answer in my opinion. But all right. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right.